one of the eligibility criteria is also that you come back to your country.
Well, it is not the Japa route.
Exactly. So I needed to state that
It
clearly.
is not the Japa route, though. You
It's
cannot
not the Japa.
Japa through Mandela Washington Fellowship.
Come back.
You must be passionate about living in your
Exactly.
own country.
Exactly. And one other cap I wear is I volunteer with an NGO that seeks to promote the engagement of citizens in governance.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kuskus and this is Oluwatosin, a Mandela Washington Fellow for 2022 cohort. So this is a continuation of part 1 where Tosin told us about what the fellowship entails, what you do when you get to the US, the duration, and the eligibility requirements. So in this second part, we're going to be extending the conversation to how you can distinguish yourself to be a scholar, a fellow, because I see that it is very competitive. So yeah, sit tight and let's get right into the video. If you're yet to subscribe, just tell them to subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe to the channel Kusema Ise, okay, and follow me on Instagram as well at I am Kuskus.
Just
Let's
like you said.
get right into the video.
So like she said, the fellowship is highly competitive. And like we also said in the part 1, make sure you read through the eligibility criteria. We just highlighted a few.
Yeah.
So please read through
Go to the website and
digest
read
it. Exactly.
Okay,
but before you do that, subscribe.
You've heard it from a fellow. You don't know what it means to sit here.
You want to be a fellow, subscribe.
With a Mandela Washington Fellow. So before we went, in part 1, you were telling us the different things that made you, stand out. Told us about your professional work, which is public service, public financial management. You told us about your volunteer work with an organization that promotes citizen participation in government. Amazing. Okay, did you tell us number 3?
All right, so number 3, I also have some, let me call it social support activity. I wouldn't want to call it a philanthropic activity because it's not, but it can still fit into that because it's not regular.
Okay.
But one thing I do is I also support educational attainment of vulnerable children in my community.
Oh, that's so nice.
So it's
your community where exactly?
Kaba, Kogi State. So I didn't tell you where I'm from, right?
Okay.
In my introduction. So
yeah.
Tosin is from Kaba, Kogi State, Nigeria. There are some children whose parents cannot afford their school fees. So what happened at some point in my life, paying school fees by my parents was a bit difficult. So I understand what it takes to actually not be able to afford school fees. And then also I interestingly in my GSS 3 I benefited from a scholarship and it's from
your brain has always been hot.
So it's from a prominent member of my community, Mr. GT Aliu. The scholarship it's what really I would say it's what really helped me to finish my secondary school, my senior secondary school. It's not much, but it was very, very instrumental.
It lays a foundation to your progress.
If just one man investment can actually help me to give me a hope, you get to pursue my aspiration, then I can imagine if other children can have that push, no matter how little it is. So once in a while, whenever I have the financial capacity, I just have with my family, I just talk to my mom, try and identify a few children in the neighborhood who really needed this support. There are some they don't need it. Their parents can actually afford it, and then because they know this is
available, they want to take advantage.
So my mom, who is more closer in the community, identified these children and their family, and then we just help them support their.
So how many people so far?
I don't keep record.
But did you put like figures in your application, or you just let it be?
Okay. So that again, it's one weakness I later realized
in your application
after I've gotten the fellowship.
That you should have mentioned.
That I should have.
The number.
Because for me, it's something I'm doing out of passion. I wasn't interested in probably publicizing or whatever.
Tracking.
So my mom, take this amount. Hey, just look for the last one I did. I think about 15 children there about.
Wow.
My support. And okay, everybody's happy.
For 1 year. So that means
they don't even know where it's coming from. I told her to make it anonymous. I don't need public applause for this. Let's just make these children happy. But I had to just put it in my application as some of the things I do
that you're doing. Interesting. Thank you so much, Tosin. I know that if I allow you to keep sharing, you're going to tell us so much more than you do. So guys, I hope that this video is interesting. We are going to share the last part. But before we do that, do well to subscribe if you're yet to do so. And if this has been very beneficial to you, drop a comment. Congratulate Tosin in the comment section. Let me know if you have any questions, and let's proceed. You're going to share like advice for people who are interested in applying, but briefly just share with us like the application cycle and the process.
All right. So the application usually comes out in August. Every year. Yeah, August every year. So there are a couple of articles that needed to be written, some essays here and there.
Do you remember the questions?
One of the questions is about what you're doing and how you're impacting your community. And I think another question it's also one of the eligibility criteria is the ability to work in a diverse, culturally diverse environment. Because the U.S. government frowns against discrimination, either by gender or by race or whatever it is. So
you have to demonstrate.
Exactly. So you demonstrate your leadership competence. You also demonstrate how diverse you are. And then I think there was a question also about conflict management. If you've been in a conflicting situation, and how did we respond? It's also part of your leadership trait.
Definitely.
How to manage conflict and resolve conflict and everything. By the time you just check out the application, you see some of those questions there.
Before, if they go to the website now, will they see all those questions, or it's when the application opens?
Okay, so it's when the application opens. But one thing I can guarantee is if you go online, you will see
questions, right?
See some guys,
Okay.
Probably much more later. I can check through my archive. I'm sure I will have some of those. I always keep it.
Let me know, guys, if you want the question. He has it in his archive, so I'll be on his neck. Let me know in the comment section, okay? If you want the questions, please.
If you don't subscribe, I'm not
at the end of this video, we should have an increased number of subscribers so that I can be able to retrieve the questions from Tosin. Okay, so when the application opens in August, how long is it open for?
I think it's open for about a month or two.
Okay, so the window is not that much.
Yeah, it's not that much because the application goes through series of
stages.
It's really competitive. So in fact, the stages of reviews, it's actually much.
Yep.
We don't know from as applicants, we don't know. But after getting in, I got to realize that there are series of independent reviews.
Tell us.
There's enough time for you to actually start your application and finish.
Is it a cumbersome application, would you say?
Well, it depends on your nature as a person. If you're someone that doesn't like to write, you might find it cumbersome. But if you're someone that writing is not a problem, articulating your thoughts is not a problem. It's something you can finish in a day, actually.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So after you submit the application, what next?
So you'll be shortlisted. There'll be a long list. Then there'll be a short list.
So when does the long list come?
No, you won't have access to it. It's an internal thing. Exactly. So the shortlisted or long-listed people for interviews, right?
Okay.
You face interview in your local at your local embassy, US embassy
in your country.
Your country, exactly.
So when you're long-listed, you'll be invited for an interview.
For an interview. Yes.
How was the interview experience?
It was interesting, and I think for me, one thing that stood out is your courage. You must be courageous. You're doing amazing things. Only you understand what you're doing. Only you know about what you're doing. So it's your thing. Own it.
Own it.
Have the courage, face the
on
panel
your
and
story.
just tell your story. It's
But
your story.
at the interview, were they asking you the same questions on your application or different ones?
So basically, the interview is to get further insight into what you the information you supplied in your application. Yeah. So they can decide to pick questions out of your application. Probably maybe some things they need further explanation. I can remember in my own interview, I had to do some explanation on the project I was working on in the NGF.
Okay.
The SIFTAS project.
So the interview is like, come and tell us more.
Exactly. So I had to, and then I also had to pitch and probably do some explanation of what I'm doing with iEngage Hub, which is the NGO
that you volunteer for.
Supporting citizen government engagement. So I had to further explain what we are doing, and I could recall one of the questions they asked me was what is actually the impact? You know, when you're saying you can, like I said earlier, you can access project document. How does this change anything?
So what?
So you might be an expert in your field.
Yep.
So from what I'm doing, is PFM, public financial management, which I understand. But the panelists in the interview do not. So you have to find a way to
explain it to
at some point they asked me, I was mentioning things around transparency, fiscal transparency, fiscal accountability, fiscal something.
Just like,
what does this thing mean? You get? So even if they are experts in that field, they understand as an expert. But that is where the tricky aspect of the interview comes in. If it is not your result and they ask you to break it down, you won't be able to. So don't lie.
Hey, God.
Be honest in your response. They know what they are looking out
for.
So they will pick it.
And they will do their due diligence as well on you. Okay, so no need to lie, no need to fabricate words.
Honest.
Just be yourself. And if you can't get it this year, wait until you are able to secure it, or when you are able to accumulate all the eligibility requirements, or better still, you will get another opportunity. You don't have to fight tooth and dog for it. Okay, Tosin.
The actually fellows have done it like this is their seventh time before getting it. So if you don't get it in the first try,
I'm not that patient. I'm not that tenacious.
So if you want it, you go all out.
If you want it, you
every
go all out.
Every year you always.
Tell us, Tosin, what is the package for this fellowship?
What do you mean?
Does it come with any financial benefits? I know that it's fully funded, right? So they fund your travel, your visa, your stay in the US.
Yes. So I'm from unverified information that I have. I don't have access to the accounts of the organizers. But I know the US is investing heavily in all the fellows, and I from the information I have, it's nothing less than $20,000
per person
on each fellow, not the amount they are giving to
on
you.
Each, because
the program package entirely,
it will cover your feeding,
training, the leadership training, the academic sessions and everything.
Oh, that's a lot of investment.
It's huge. So we can't afford to allow it go to waste.
It's huge. It's huge. Amazing.
But then it's fully funded. Your COVID-19 test, is funded. Your flight is funded. Local travels, everything is funded. And then over there, the meals, the accommodation,
everything. It's just like going to the US for free to stay for 6 weeks. Interesting. Thank you so much, Tosin. I think that you have done justice to this process. If you want any more information on applying for Mandela Washington Fellowship, you should visit the website. So before we go, Tosin, tell us. I know that there are a lot of viewers that are now interested in the program, even if they didn't hear that before. They are now very interested, considering the package that you're just going to go to the US of A, and you're going to be expanding your leadership capacity, interacting with people, expanding your network. So tell us, let's say you are advising a second or third time applicant just like yourself. What are the succinct advice or takeaway that you would say for those who are interested in applying?
So before I go into that, let me also add that it's not a flexing affair, actually. It's not a flexing affair because it's a leadership training, and you should expect that over there you have a very tight schedule.
Yep.
There will be sessions. So it's not if you're not going there, if you're not interested in the fellowship for the learning aspect, if you are just interested in the fellowship and let me travel to the US, then it's not for you.
It's not for you. It's not for you. Stand down.
Because at the end, one of the eligibility criteria is also that you come back to your country.
Well, it is not a Japa route.
Exactly. So that I needed to state that
It
clearly.
is not a Japa route, though. You
It's
cannot
not a Japa.
Japa through Mandela Washington
You must
Fellowship.
come back
You must
home.
be passionate about living in your
Exactly.
own country.
Exactly. And you must be committed in the next 2 years after the fellowship. You must be committed to supporting development in your local community. For the next 2 years. But that doesn't mean you can't travel to the US.
Of course, but you can't permanently reside there.
You can't permanently. You can go for vacation.
So if you apply for visa, they will not give you.
No,
the
you can
permanent.
go
If you apply for something permanent,
no.
They won't give you until after 2 years.
Until after 2 years.
That's very similar to Chevening Scholarship.
So
as
I
well.
had to stay there. So it's not Japa.
It's not a Japa route. Now you
It's
know.
for young leaders who are committed to development of their local community.
For viewers who are not Nigerians, Japa means migrating from your home country to a different country, usually the developed countries.
And so my advice, like you asked, is one thing I will always say is, I said earlier, I'm an advocate of public value creation.
Yep.
Be committed to creating value.
Be committed to creating value.
Yeah.
Number one.
Irrespective of how small your space is. You might be working in an organization that is probably just 2 or 3.
Yep.
But are you creating value? So you must be committed to value creation. And then also, I've come to realize that not just for Mandela Washington Fellowship, for any scholarship or fellowship opportunity, the organizers or the founder always have an objective, they always have an interest. And for Mandela Washington Fellowship, the interest is all about development back in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Supporting young leaders that will come back to lead development back in Africa. So when you are applying, always make sure that your application is tailored towards their interests or the objective of all of those fellowship or scholarship opportunities. So if you can tailor your application to
align with their interest in development and cultural exchange.
You are better suited, or you are better positioned to actually win.
I feel like I should become a lecturer now, so I can be teaching you people these things very well.
All right. And then another thing I would also recommend or suggest for anyone interested in this is start your application
in good time, right?
Don't wait till it's
last minute.
Some people have the grace.
Yeah.
You can just sit down under 3-4 hours
and get the inspiration.
But if you're not, please.
If you're not that person,
start on time.
So the application opens
I reviewed my application almost 4 times.
Wow.
The more you know, the more you go back to it, you come with a fresh perspective.
Did you speak to any previous fellow?
Okay, so I didn't.
Did you get any coach?
I didn't. So I did the application all by myself, but I reviewed almost 4 times thereabouts.
What changed from your previous application, the 2018 application? Because I would have thought that maybe you get a coach, somebody that told you what to do.
Okay, so I think let's say I got smarter. Because your knowledge evolved between 2018 and 2021, because this application was submitted in 2021. So I've grown in my knowledge and everything. So I believe that helped me to better articulate. And when I was reading through my 2018 application, even me, I understood that there are some things that could be better stated, or there were some things that were not really results I thought were results. You get. And then the review, when you're always reading, you come with fresh perspectives. And then because we're actually subjected to word limit. The first, I think there was an article that was about 700, was it 500? I can't remember specifically now. But I wrote over 1,000 words article. The first time. Slept over it, came back, okay, what can I remove? So that was how I started dropping. At the end, I had an article within the word limit, an essay within the word limit that captures everything
you were trying to say.
Yeah, in a very good detail. From your last question, it's also important, if you can't afford to get a coach, most of these coaches request for some payments. So if you can't afford to get a coach, there are YouTube videos,
from scholars, from fellows.
There are YouTube videos. There are some articles that will really help you. This video will become a resource.
Exactly. So you can always refer to it when you're writing.
Exactly. But then, just make sure that whatever you're submitting is value-oriented, impact-driven. I think for me that would be the biggest of my recommendation.
Thank you so much, Tosin, guys. At the end of the day, all I could pick out was be adding value and then be able to communicate the value and impact you're adding in your application. Be succinct, don't be verbose, and be ready to actually go through the fellowship, okay? If you know that you're not interested in learning and then coming back to put in the work in your country, don't bother. It is not a migration route. It is just 6 weeks program in the US, and it is fully funded by the US government. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much, Tosin. You were very detailed. I wish we had more time so we could speak more and more, but I know that you guys are very smart. You've been able to take the most succinct points from this video and you will do the rest. Let me know when you are able to apply. Let me know if you're going to apply. Let me know when you are selected. Okay, congratulations in advance, and thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you're yet to subscribe, do well to subscribe. Let me know what you think about the video in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye. Thank you so much, Tosin. Please appreciate Tosin in the comment section.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I actually forgot your question.
I love the bloopers for this video. But you know my voice is louder than yours.
Really?
Right? Now me. My voice is louder than his, right?
Yes.
I don't know how to cross it.
I should stop shouting. I should stop shouting. I'm excited. So when you go to the US, what will you be doing? Fully funded? How much? Are they gonna give you money? How much?
I've dropped the second question of how did you get it?
Okay. Yeah. The earlier
you
question,
get
right? Oh yeah. You will silence this your phone down. Silencer. So after you submit the application, what next?
So
oh shit, Nigerian reality. Thank you.
No, this is actually one of the things that a fellow can be working on. A fellow are doing things in the energy sector.
We're back again though, guys. Well, it's the reality of where we are.
So I did the application all by myself, but I reviewed almost 4 times thereabouts.
What changed from your previous application with your current application? You said oh shit.
Village people.
What do we do now?